I want to welcome all of our Periscope peeps who are streaming us at Michael_Dolce, DOLCE. Let me know, Periscope peeps, if the sound of our callers is coming in. We're using some advanced technology here to make sure that it gets pumped in there. And we'll be doing some Facebook streaming next week. Aloha from Spain. Welcome. It's good to hear. And we want to bring Greg back on. And we actually got Sergio still holding on, too. So we'll bring him back in here because it's always great to debate with the guys from a Bad Coyote Funky podcast. So, Greg, what is this backdoor you speak of? And don't get us banned from anywhere else, please.
I mean, we already got you banned off of YouTube once. I think that's more than enough. But anyways, what I was saying is that in a monologue that Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg has, is he mentions that his father's name was Lex, very briefly. It wasn't a monologue, it was more of a line of dialogue. It was a reporter, someone congratulating him on all the success of Lex Luthor, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, no, my dad built it all. He was always the Lex in front of the core.
Correct. Now, that's funny you mentioned that because that was exactly what I was going to kind of counter to anyone who says, like, oh, this is not the Lex Luthor that we're aware of. And it's like, no, he actually says he's not the Lex Luthor everyone knows. So he basically kind of already, says that he's got a father, and that's the John Hamm Lex Luthor. Now, in the comics, again, look, I am not a DC Universe mythology guy, but I read, I definitely read a lot, and maybe too much, but it says Lex Luthor as a son, or had a son, but it was actually a clone of himself. So whether or not this was, I guess he's playing it off more like a father, but, a clone could still view, himself as a father figure. So it's I agree with you. There's definitely a back door. Greg and Sergio, while I have you guys on, do you have any faith in the DC universe, DC movie universe? We've had some Periscope people chime in no. We've had some Facebook people chime in no. And what do you guys think?
I'm not ready to write them off yet, just yet. I did enjoy this movie. It wasn't as good as it could have been because, like Sergio said, they shoehorned quite a bit in there.
Yeah.
And they took risks where I think they shouldn't risks. And
it was unnecessary, right? It was unnecessary risks, right? Unnecessary?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was just like, and the Batman killing thing, like, I can kind of write that off, too, as he's a product of his environment. This is a much darker world than Batman has ever lived in before or have existed in before. And when he does exist in these kind of darker worlds, he does kill people.
Yes.
And he doesn't go out of his way to kill anyone. It's just like a happenstance of what happens. He tries to disable the weapons or whatever, but he doesn't go out of his way to save them, much like in Batman Begins, Ra's al Ghul. Right? I don't have to save you. Dies with the train that goes in.
Sure. But you know what?
Right?
That killing is kind of like an epic kill, and it has this like importance, and he's actually debating it. Here, he's like playing a video game. He's like, I just remember that scene where the guy, the guy basically says like, he's like shooting at him like all crazy stuff. And first of all, who are these thugs? Like, if you're a thug and you're just like, do they just think they're gonna die? Do they all have like suicide thoughts? Because like the one guy's like, and he's like firing the machine gun. It's like, dude, he's coming at you with a tank. Like, what are you, like an idiot? Like, just if I was one of those thugs, I wouldn't be posturing for the camera. I think it was actually kind of silly. But my complaint with the killing was it was so just, there was no remorse. Now, maybe that's Bruce Wayne 20 years from now, according to Zack Snyder. We've actually had one of our Periscope peeps ask, us to talk about Zack Snyder as the man in charge of this all-important IP. So I think that's a great segue into that question. Sergio, having this all-important IP that is Justice League, do you have faith in Zack Snyder? Let's put it that way. Forget the DC universe. Let's say Zack Snyder.
I have faith in Zack Snyder. He's one of my favorite directors. I love Man of Steel. I like his directing style. I found myself in Batman vs. Superman just with my mouth open at some of the moments, just the way he frames things, the way he shoots things, the way, he keeps us moving. Like, the whole in the beginning of the movie is the Wayne-Stein, Death of the Waynes. Even though a lot of people say, we've seen it so many times, we haven't seen it like this. We have not seen it like this at all, with the pearls, the gun, and the way it was amazing. So moving forward, I think he's going to do a good job with the Justice League because of his style. And let me also say this: I think that the studio really we've all heard the studio Warner Brothers put their hands on this movie
Sure.
to cut it down, and we all have seen that, or hopefully have seen, that little snippet called Communion from the movie. You know, where Jesse Eisenberg is in this the Matrix soup, and it looks like one of Darkseid's generals is talking to him with like some mother boxes in front of him, and it's just like, wait a minute, that was taken out of the movie. So the rumor that the studio did cut a lot of stuff out of this might be true. Yeah. Maybe the director's cut will make this an actually really good movie, a better movie than the theatrical version. So keeping that in mind, I think he's going to. You really have a lot of faith. The studio is going to see all the reviews, all the critics, all the fans just yelling and saying what was wrong, what was this and that. And maybe they'll say, all right, Zack Snyder, let's just give you full reign on this movie, and we won't touch anything because we.
We have the last movie hero on Periscope has 100% faith in Zack Snyder. So there are definitely people that have the faith in Zack Snyder. I personally think that, I don't know, I personally think these movies are visually stunning, but whether or not they are storyboard-wise good. But again, I've spoken about it on my show. You guys have actually obviously mentioned it as well, too, on yours, that, you know, whose hand is really here, whose hand is really the one calling the shots, and that's really where it becomes a very, you know, a big question mark, a Riddler-sized question mark. Oh, we're bringing it all together. Greg and Sergio, I want to thank you guys for calling in. If anyone else is interested in calling into the show, as you know, this is a live talking call-in show for an hour every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. So for all the Periscope peeps out there, you can call in 877-480-4120. Greg and Sergio of Bad Coyote Funky will be getting together very soon. Thanks for calling in. Want to welcome our growing peeps. Apparently everybody is just dying to talk about Lex Luthor and dying to talk about Jesse Eisenberg's unhinged Lex Luthor, which again, I defend. I think the fact that, and Greg from Bad Coyote Funky mentioned it though, they basically have an out that says, look, this is not the Lex Luthor you grew up with, this is a different Lex Luthor, it's the son, it's the clone, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to theorize, you basically can, you can speculate either way, but they basically said, look, this is not the Lex Luthor you're looking for. So, do I have faith in Zack Snyder? I don't know. To me, he disappointed me in Watchmen, but he actually disappointed me in Watchmen, and we brought it up last week again. It's funny. I mean, almost immediately, you know, this is how impactful this movie has been now on the audience out there, and how controversial. For everyone that says, like, DC has no shot at about making a good movie, you have people saying they do have faith, that they do think it's going to work. You had, again, one of our Periscope peeps, the last movie hero. She said she's 100%, I believe it's a she, I hope it is. Chime in if you're not. 100% faith in Zack Snyder. 100% faith in Zack Snyder. Well, I wouldn't give 100% faith in Zack Snyder, but there are people out there that think it's great. Going on our Facebook page, if you actually go to facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire, we have Mark Polton, great writer, terrific friend, and he basically said that he thought Batman Superman was terrific, like he really did, and I'll read you his comment very shortly. We also have people coming in and saying that Zach made a fun movie, like it was just a fun movie, and it was something. We just had one of our Periscope peeps actually chime in with that as well too. But basically saying that the mashup was fun, and it basically took a really great look at the two storylines, and then other people have said it let them down because it had 18 storylines, and how do you follow 18 storylines? You don't. So it becomes, very, very difficult to say. Brandon Gray on the Facebook page, and we actually have a Twitter poll going on right now, which is asking this question: do you have faith in the movie universe? And we have Kyle Rago says no. Brandon Gray, yes. See, people are going back and forth. So we also have people commenting on Periscope. 300 was fun, but I was directors involved. Oh, this is a very good point actually from Jilly from Philly. Three directors in the sense that Affleck, Snyder, and you also had some other folks involved that have this movie-going experience. I guess the bottom line is this debate is just going to continue. So when we come back from break, we're going to do an extra long segment at the end so we can kind of get ourselves organized and get everyone chiming in. The Periscope peeps, keep the comments coming during the break, and we'll be back in a minute. Yeah, I figured it's a good time as any to start collecting everything here.
Okay. Sure.